Hello, we would like to welcome you to the 2021 AFL Brownlow Medal. Question is who will win the Brownlow? Let's kick this off with round one. Round one, Richmond versus Carlton. Carlton, M. Pittonet, 1 vote. Carlton, P. Cripps, 2 votes. Richmond, T. Nankervis, 3 votes. Collingwood versus Western Bulldogs. Western Bulldogs, A. Norton, 1 vote. Western Bulldogs, M. Bontempelli, 2 votes. Western Bulldogs, F. Marlin, 3 votes. Melbourne versus Fremantle. Melbourne, T. McDonald, 1 vote. Melbourne, Fremantle, N. Fife, 2 votes. Melbourne, M. Gorn, 3 votes. Adelaide versus Geelong. Adelaide, C. McQueen, 1 vote. Geelong, R. Stanley, 2 votes. Adelaide, M. Greenwood, 3 votes. Essendon versus Hawthorne. Hawthorne, T. O'Brien, 1 vote. Hawthorne, J. Warple, 2 votes. Hawthorne, T. Mitchell, 3 votes. Brisbane Lions versus Sydney. Sydney, E. Golden, 1 vote. Sydney, I. Heaney, 2 votes. Sydney, L. McDonald, 3 votes. North Melbourne versus Port Adelaide. Port Adelaide, M. Bergman, 1 vote. Port Adelaide, O. Wines, 2 votes. Port Adelaide, R. Gray, 3 votes. GWS versus St Kilda. St Kilda, G. Patrikos, 1 vote. GWS Giants, M. Flynn, 2 votes. St Kilda, J. Bytel, 3 votes. West Coast versus Gold Coast. Gold Coast, O. Markov, 1 vote. West Coast, N. Natanui, 2 votes. Gold Coast, H. Greenwood, 3 votes. Now on to round 2. Round 2, Carlton versus Collingwood. Carlton, P. Cripps, 1 vote. Carlton, P. Dow, 2 votes. Collingwood, B. Grundy, 3 votes. Geelong versus Brisbane Lions. Brisbane Lions, O. McInerney, 1 vote. Brisbane Lions, E. Hipwood, 2 votes. Geelong, D. Bennett, 3 votes. Sydney versus Adelaide. Sydney, L. Franklin, 1 vote. Sydney, L. Parker, 2 votes. Adelaide, M. Greenwood, 3 votes. Port Adelaide versus Essendon. Port Adelaide, T. Boak, 1 vote. Port Adelaide, C. Rosie, 2 votes. Port Adelaide, S. Lysette, 3 votes. St Kilda versus Melbourne. Melbourne, E. Langdon, 1 vote. Melbourne, M. Gorn, 2 votes. Melbourne, C. Petrarca, 3 votes. Gold Coast versus North Melbourne. North Melbourne, C. Caldwell, 1 vote. Gold Coast, M. Rao, 2 votes. Gold Coast, D. McPherson, 3 votes. Hawthorne versus Richmond. Richmond, A. Marlin, 1 vote. Hawthorne, J. MP, 2 votes. Hawthorne, J. Warple, 3 votes. Western Bulldogs versus West Coast Eagles. West Coast Eagles, A. Gaff, 1 vote. West Coast Eagles, J. Jones, 2 votes. Western Bulldogs, L. Cook, 3 votes. Fremantle versus GWS Giants. Fremantle, A. Chira, 1 vote. Fremantle, A. Brayshaw, 2 votes. Fremantle and Fife, 3 votes. Let's look at the leaderboard after 2 rounds. Currently at the top is Matt Greenwood on 6 votes. Equal second are Max Gawn, James Warple and Nat Fife on 5 votes. While rounding out the leaderboard are Toby Nankervis, Paddy Cripps, Robbie Gray, Logan McDonald, Tom Mitchell, and Fraser Marlin. They round out the rest of the top 10. Round 3 be coming up soon. Round 3, Brisbane versus Collingwood. Brisbane, Al Neil, 1 vote. Collingwood, B. Mychek, 2 votes. Collingwood, B. Grundy, 3 votes. North Melbourne versus Western Bulldogs. Western Bulldogs, C. Marlin, 1 vote. Western Bulldogs, M. Bontempelli, 2 votes. Western Bulldogs, J. Bruce, 3 votes. Adelaide versus Gold Coast. Adelaide, J. Palmer, 1 vote. Adelaide, A. Scott, 2 votes. Adelaide, L. Brown, 3 votes. Richmond versus Sydney. Richmond, D. Martin, 1 vote. Sydney, T. Hickey, 2 votes. Sydney, I. Heaney, 3 votes. Essendon versus St Kilda. Essendon, A. McDonald, Tipperwooty, 1 vote. Essendon, J. Stringer, 2 votes. Essendon, Z. Merritt, 3 votes. West Coast versus Port Adelaide. Port Adelaide, J. Brougham, 1 vote. West Coast, T. Kelly, 2 votes. West Coast, J. Kennedy, 3 votes. Carlton versus Fremantle. Carlton, S. Walsh, 1 vote. Carlton, H. McKay, 2 votes. Carlton, P. Cripps, 3 votes. GWS Giants versus Melbourne. GWS Giants, S. Canelio, 1 vote. Melbourne, C. Spargo, 2 votes. Melbourne, M. Gawn, 3 votes. Geelong versus Hawthorne. Geelong, M. Duncan, 1 vote. Geelong, I. Smith, 2 votes. Geelong, Hawthorne, B. McAvoy, 3 votes. Round 4. Sydney versus Essendon. Sydney, I. Heaney, 1 vote. Sydney, T. Hickey, 2 votes. Sydney, L. Parker, 3 votes. Port Adelaide versus Richmond. Port Adelaide, O. Wides, 1 vote. Port Adelaide, L. Jones, 2 votes. Port Adelaide, J. Brougham, 3 votes. Western Bulldogs versus Brisbane Lions. Brisbane Lions, J. Berry, 1 vote. Western Bulldogs, T. Liberatore, 2 votes. Western Bulldogs, M. Bontempelli, 3 votes. St Kilda versus West Coast Eagles. West Coast, O. Allen, 1 vote. West Coast, J. Kennedy, 2 votes. St Kilda, J. Steele, 3 votes. Gold Coast versus Carlton. Carlton, M. Pittonet, 1 vote. Carlton, W. Setterfield, 2 votes. Carlton, P. Cripps, 3 votes. Collingwood versus GWS Giants. GWS Giants, H. Himmelberg, 1 vote. Collingwood, J. Madden, 2 votes. GWS Giants, T. Taranto, 3 votes. North Melbourne versus Adelaide. Adelaide, M. Greenwood, 1 vote. Adelaide, L. Brown, 2 votes. Adelaide, A. Scott, 3 votes. Melbourne versus Geelong. Geelong, G. Myers, 1 vote. Melbourne, T. Rivers, 2 votes. Melbourne, J. Melksham, 3 votes. Fremantle versus Hawthorne. Fremantle, J. Aish, 1 vote. Fremantle and Fife, 2 votes. Fremantle, J. May, 3 votes. So far after 4 rounds, Paddy Cripps is leading in the Brownlow Medal with 9 votes. 8 from Max Gorn, while Marcus Bontempelli, Matt Greenwood, and Nat Fife are tied on 7 votes. Isaac Heaney and Brodie Grundy are on 6, while James Warple, Luke Parker, and also Lachlan Brown make their way up the rankings. As in the period between rounds 5 to 11, we're expecting Dre Bennett to perform to poll very well. Although he had played 6 games in that period, we're expecting him. He'll poll really well after he's had 6 best on grounds in a row. Now on the round 5, St Kilda versus Richmond. Richmond, D. Martin, 1 vote. Richmond, J. Rewalt, 2 votes. Richmond, M. Conti, 3 votes. West Coast versus Collingwood. Collingwood, J. Dacos, 1 vote. Collingwood, S. Pendlebury, 2 votes. West Coast, J. Kennedy, 3 votes. Western Bulldogs versus Gold Coast Suns. Western Bulldogs, T. English, 1 vote. Western Bulldogs, F. Marlin, 2 votes. Western Bulldogs, C. Marlin, 3 votes. Sydney versus GWS Giants. GWS Giants, S. Canelio, 1 vote. Sydney, L. Parker, 2 votes. Sydney, L. Franklin, 3 votes. Carlton versus Port Adelaide. Carlton, A. Sard, 1 vote. Carlton, J. Waitering, 2 votes. Port Adelaide, J. Brougham, 3 votes. Josh Brougham's making his way up the chart, and he could be in Brownlow contention at the moment. Brisbane versus Essendon. Brisbane, J. Danaher, 1 vote. Brisbane, L. Neal, 2 votes. Brisbane, O. McInerney, 3 votes. Adelaide versus Fremantle. Adelaide, C. McQueen, 1 vote. Fremantle, S. Darcy, 2 votes. Adelaide, M. Greenwood, 3 votes. Hawthorne versus Melbourne. Melbourne, K. Pickett, 1 vote. Melbourne, M. Gord, 2 votes. Melbourne, C. Oliver, 3 votes. Geelong versus North Melbourne. Geelong, G. Rowan, 1 vote. Geelong, P. Dangerfield, 2 votes. Geelong, D. Bennett, 3 votes. Round 6. GWS Giants versus Western Bulldogs. Western Bulldogs, C. Marlin, 1 vote. Western Bulldogs, L. Cook, 2 votes. Western Bulldogs, F. Marlin, 3 votes. Fraser Marlin's moving his way up into the leaderboard. He's in the top 5 right now in the Brownlow Medal. Geelong versus West Coast. Geelong, J. Cameron, 1 vote. Geelong, P. Dangerfield, 2 votes. Geelong, D. Bennett, 3 votes. Gold Coast versus Sydney. Gold Coast, S. Day, 1 vote. Sydney, W. Hayward, 2 votes. Gold Coast, M. Rao, 3 votes. Carlton versus Brisbane Lions. Brisbane Lions, L. Neal, 1 vote. Brisbane Lions, Z. Bailey, 2 votes. Brisbane Lions, C. Cameron, 3 votes. Melbourne versus Richmond. Melbourne, C. Petrarca, 1 vote. Melbourne, C. Oliver, 2 votes. Melbourne, M. Gone, 3 votes. Fremantle versus North Melbourne. Fremantle, J. May, 1 vote. Fremantle, M. Crowden, 2 votes. Fremantle, N. Fife, 3 votes. Hawthorne versus Adelaide. Hawthorne, T. Mitchell, 1 vote. Adelaide, C. McQueen, 2 votes. Adelaide, L. Brown, 3 votes. Collingwood versus Essendon. Essendon, A. Phillips, 1 vote. Essendon, D. Parrish, 2 votes. Collingwood, T. Adams, 3 votes. Port Adelaide versus St Kilda. Port Adelaide, O. Fantasia, 1 vote. Port Adelaide, S. Lysette, 2 votes. Port Adelaide, C. Dixon, 3 votes. At the top right now is Max Scorn on 13 votes. Nat Fife and Matt Greenwood are a close second with 10 votes. Paddy Cripps and Dre Bennett both on 9 votes, while Lachlan Brown, Josh Kennedy, and Fraser Marlin are both on 8. With Marcus Bottapelli and Luke Parker not far behind on 7 votes. Now we head to round 7. Round 7. Richmond versus Western Bulldogs. Western Bulldogs, M. Bottapelli, 1 vote. Richmond, D. Prestia, 2 votes. Richmond, E. McKenzie, 3 votes. Collingwood versus Gold Coast. Collingwood, S. Pendlebury, 1 vote. Gold Coast, N. Anderson, 2 votes. Gold Coast, I. Rankin, 3 votes. Adelaide versus GWS Giants. Adelaide, J. Palmer, 1 vote. GWS Giants, J. Kelly, 2 votes. Adelaide, A. Scott, 3 votes. St Kilda versus Hawthorne. St Kilda, M. King, 1 vote. St Kilda, J. Steele, 2 votes. St Kilda, J. Patricos, 3 votes. Brisbane versus Port Adelaide. Brisbane, H. McCluggage, 1 vote. Brisbane, T. Thompson, 2 votes. Brisbane, L. Neal, 3 votes. Sydney versus Geelong. Geelong, P. Dangerfield, 1 vote. Sydney, T. Hickey, 2 votes. Geelong, D. Bennett, 3 votes. North Melbourne versus Melbourne. North Melbourne, B. Cunnington, 1 vote. North Melbourne, L. Murphy, 2 votes. North Melbourne, C. Taylor, 3 votes. Essendon versus Carlton. Essendon, D. Parrish, 1 vote. Carlton, J. Martin, 2 votes. Essendon, Z. Merritt, 3 votes. West Coast versus Fremantle. Fremantle, J. May, 1 vote. West Coast, N. Vardy, 2 votes. Fremantle, D. Mundy, 3 votes. Round 8. Richmond versus Geelong. Geelong, T. Hawkins, 1 vote. Geelong, P. Dangerfield, 2 votes. Geelong, D. Bennett, 3 votes. Gold Coast versus St Kilda. St Kilda, P. Ryder, 1 vote. Gold Coast, Z. Smith, 2 votes. Gold Coast, S. Collins, 3 votes. GWS Giants versus Essendon. Essendon, D. Parrish, 1 vote. Essendon, D. Smith, 2 votes. GWS Giants, J. Kelly, 3 votes. North Melbourne versus Collingwood. North Melbourne, T. Powell, 1 vote. Collingwood, S. Pendlebury, 2 votes. North Melbourne, L. Murphy, 3 votes. Melbourne versus Sydney. Melbourne, E. Langdon, 1 vote. Melbourne, C. Oliver, 2 votes. Melbourne, C. Petrarca, 3 votes. Port Adelaide versus Adelaide. Port Adelaide, W. Drew, 1 vote. Adelaide, J. Parter, 2 votes. Adelaide, L. Brown, 3 votes. Hawthorne versus West Coast Eagles. West Coast, D. Sheed, 1 vote. West Coast, A. Gaff, 2 votes. West Coast, J. Darling, 3 votes. Western Bulldogs versus Carlton. Western Bulldogs, M. Hannon, 1 vote. Western Bulldogs, M. Bontempelli, 2 votes. Western Bulldogs, L. Cook, 3 votes. Fremantle versus Brisbane Lions. Brisbane Lions, D. Zorko, 1 vote. Brisbane Lions, H. McCluggage, 2 votes. Brisbane Lions, J. Lions, 3 votes. After 8 rounds, Dre Bennett is now on top of the Brownlow count with 15 votes. Max Gord's in second with 13 votes. With Lachlan Brown so far in third with 11 votes. Marcus Bontempelli, Nat Fife, and Matt Graywood are on fourth with 10 votes. And now we head to round 9. Round 9, St Kilda versus Geelong. St Kilda, J. Patrikos, 1 vote. Geelong, R. Stanley, 2 votes. Geelong, T. Hawkins, 3 votes. Sydney versus Collingwood. Sydney, T. Papley, 1 vote. Sydney, L. Parker, 2 votes. Sydney, L. Franklin, 3 votes. Hawthorne versus North Melbourne. Hawthorne, T. Mitchell, 1 vote. North Melbourne, C. Comben, 2 votes. North Melbourne, L. Murphy, 3 votes. Gold Coast versus Brisbane Lions. Brisbane Lions, J. Lions, 1 vote. Brisbane Lions, H. McCluggage, 2 votes. Brisbane Lions, L. Neal, 3 votes. Richmond versus GWS Giants. GWS Giants, P. Davis, 1 vote. Richmond, T. Nankervis, 2 votes. Richmond, M. Conti, 3 votes. Port Adelaide versus Western Bulldogs. Western Bulldogs, A. Treloar, 1 vote. Western Bulldogs, A. Norton, 2 votes. Western Bulldogs, J. McRae, 3. Essendon versus Fremantle Dockers. Essendon, D. Shield, 1 vote. Fremantle, N. Fife, 2 votes. Fremantle, M. Walters, 3 votes. Melbourne versus Carlton. Melbourne, B. Fritsch, 1 vote. Melbourne, A. Neil Bullen, 2 votes. Melbourne, B. Brown, 3 votes. West Coast versus Adelaide. Adelaide, R. Sloan, 1 vote. Adelaide, J. Palmer, 2 votes. Adelaide, M. Greenwood, 3 votes. Round 10. Brisbane versus Richmond. Richmond, N. Broad, 1 vote. Richmond, D. Martin, 2 votes. Brisbane, L. Neal, 3 votes. Carlton versus Hawthorne. Carlton, Z. Williams, 1 vote. Hawthorne, T. Mitchell, 2 votes. Carlton, C. Curnow, 3 votes. Geelong versus Gold Coast. Geelong, J. Selwood, 1 vote. Geelong, G. Rowan, 2 votes. Geelong, D. Bennett, 3 votes. Adelaide versus Melbourne. Melbourne, J. Jordan, 1 vote. Adelaide, L. Brown, 2 votes. Adelaide, A. Scott, 3 votes. Western Bulldogs versus St Kilda. Western Bulldogs, L. Cook, 1 vote. Western Bulldogs, J. Bruce, 2 votes. Western Bulldogs, J. McRae, 3 votes. Fremantle versus Sydney. Fremantle, D. Mundy, 1 vote. Fremantle, B. Akers, 2 votes. Fremantle, A. Pearce, 3 votes. GWS versus West Coast. GWS, H. Himmelberg, 1 vote. GWS, S. Canelio, 2 votes. GWS, T. Taranto, 3 votes. Collingwood versus Port Adelaide. Port Adelaide, H. Hartlett, 1 vote. Port Adelaide, R. Gray, 2 votes. Port Adelaide, C. Dixon, 3 votes. Essendon versus North Melbourne. North Melbourne, J. Zeeble, 1 vote. Essendon, A. Waterman, 2 votes. Essendon, D. Parrish, 3 votes. So leaderboard after round 10. Dre Bennett is still leading the Brownlow count with 18 votes. Round 11, Western Bulldogs versus Melbourne. Melbourne, C. Spargo, 1 vote. Melbourne, C. Petrarca, 2 votes. Melbourne, A. Brayshaw, 3 votes. Collingwood versus Geelong. Collingwood, L. Casbolt, 1 vote. Collingwood, C. Maid, 2 votes. Geelong, P. Dangerfield, 3 votes. Brisbane versus GWS Giants. Brisbane, L. Neal, 1 vote. Brisbane, J. Lyons, 2 votes. Brisbane, H. McCluggage, 3 votes. St Kilda versus North Melbourne. St Kilda, G. Patrikos, 1 vote. St Kilda, B. Crouch, 2 votes. St Kilda, J. Hickens, 3 votes. Gold Coast versus Hawthorne. Gold Coast, B. King, 1 vote. Gold Coast, M. Rao, 2 votes. Hawthorne, T. Mitchell, 3 votes. West Coast versus Essendon. West Coast, J. Kennedy, 1 vote. West Coast, O. Allen, 2 votes. Essendon, J. Stringer, 3 votes. Richmond versus Adelaide. Adelaide, L. Brown, 1 vote. Richmond, D. Martin, 2 votes. Adelaide, M. Greenwood, 3 votes. Sydney versus Carlton. Sydney, O. Florent, 1 vote. Sydney, L. Franklin, 2 votes. Sydney, L. Parker, 3 votes. Port Adelaide versus Fremantle Dockers. Port Adelaide, T. Marshall, 1 vote. Port Adelaide, O. Wines, 2 votes. Port Adelaide, Z. Butters, 3 votes. Round 12, Melbourne versus Brisbane Lions. Brisbane Lions, L. Neal, 1 vote. Melbourne, A. Brayshaw, 2 votes. Brisbane Lions, D. Zorko, 3 votes. St Kilda versus Sydney. St Kilda, R. Marshall, 1 vote. Sydney, J. Kennedy, 2 votes. St Kilda D. Butler, 3 votes. Adelaide versus Collingwood. Adelaide R. Sloan, 1 vote. Collingwood K. Hockley, 2 votes. Adelaide M. Greenwood, 3 votes. Essendon versus Richmond. Richmond R. Pickett, 1 vote. M. Pickett, 1 vote. Richmond A. Marlin, 2 votes. Richmond S. Bolton, 3 votes. Carlton versus West Coast Eagles. Carlton C. Curnow, 1 vote. Carlton S. Walsh, 2 votes. Carlton P. Cripps, 3 votes. Fremantle versus Western Bulldogs. Western Bulldogs R. West, 1 vote. Western Bulldogs A. Norton, 2 votes. Western Bulldogs F. Marlin, 3 votes. Round 13. Port Adelaide versus Geelong. Geelong G. Rowan, 1 vote. Geelong D. Bennett, 2 votes. Geelong P. Dangerfield, 3 votes. Sydney versus Hawthorne. Hawthorne J. Segler, 1 vote. Hawthorne T. Mitchell, 2 votes. Hawthorne T. Phillips, 3 votes. Fremantle versus Gold Coast. Gold Coast T. Miller, 1 vote. Gold Coast D. Swallow, 2 votes. Fremantle S. Darcy, 3 votes. St Kilda versus Adelaide. Adelaide B. Keys, 1 vote. St Kilda G. Petrikos, 2 votes. Adelaide L. Brown, 3 votes. Melbourne versus Collingwood. Melbourne C. Petrarca, 1 vote. Collingwood K. Hockley, 2 votes. Melbourne B. Brown, 3 votes. North Melbourne versus GWS Giants. Giants B. Daniels, 1 vote. North Melbourne J. Anderson, 2 votes. Giants T. Taranto, 3 votes. Now we're on the round 14. West Coast versus Richmond. Richmond A. Marlin, 1 vote. Richmond D. Martin, 2 votes. Richmond S. Bolton, 3 votes. Geelong versus Western Bulldogs. Bulldogs F. Marlin, 1 vote. Geelong D. Bennett, 2 votes. Bulldogs T. English, 3 votes. Gold Coast versus Port Adelaide. Port Adelaide T. Boak, 1 vote. Port Adelaide J. Brougham, 2 votes. Port Adelaide O. Wines, 3 votes. North Melbourne versus Brisbane Lions. Brisbane Lions E. Hipwood, 1 vote. Brisbane Lions O. McInerney, 2 votes. Brisbane Lions L. Neal, 3 votes. GWS versus Carlton. GWS L. Whitfield, 1 vote. GWS B. Daniels, 2 votes. Carlton P. Cripps, 3 votes. Hawthorne versus Essendon. Hawthorne T. Mitchell, 1 vote. Essendon D. Smith, 2 votes. Essendon D. Shield, 3 votes. So far, Dre Bennett's leading after round 14. Let's look at the votes for club by club. The top vote getter for Adelaide so far is Matt Greenwood on 19 votes. Lachlan Brown's on 17, while Alex Scott's still on 11 votes. Brisbane Lions, their leading vote getter is Lockie Neal on 18 votes. Carlton is Paddy Cripps on 15 votes. Collingwood, the leading vote getter is Brodie Grundy with 6 votes. Essendon is Darcy Parish on 7 votes. Fremantle's leading vote getter is Nat Fyfe on 12 votes. Gold Coast is Matt Rowell on 7 votes. Geelong, Dre Bennett's got 22 votes. He's having a great season. Tim Taranto's leading the board for GWS. Hawthorne's leader is Tom Mitchell on 13 votes. Leading the way for Melbourne is Max Gawn. North Melbourne have got Luke Murphy leading the way. Port Adelaide is Josh Brougham on 9 votes still. Richmond is Dustin Martin on 8 votes. St Kilda is Georgia Patrikos on 8 votes. Sydney's leader is Luke Parker on 12 votes. Western Bulldogs is Fraser Marlin on 12 votes, while the Eagles have still got Josh Kennedy on 9 votes. Now on to round 15. Brisbane Lions versus Geelong. Brisbane Lions, C. Cameron, 1 vote. Brisbane Lions, L. Neal, 2 votes. Brisbane Lions, O. McInerney, 3 votes. Richmond versus St Kilda. St Kilda, J. Higgins, 1 vote. St Kilda, M. King, 2 votes. St Kilda, J. Steele, 3 votes. North Melbourne versus Gold Coast Suns. Gold Coast, T. Miller, 1 vote. Gold Coast, O. Markov, 2 votes. North Melbourne, T. Goldstein, 3 votes. Collingwood versus Fremantle. Fremantle, R. Lobb, 1 vote. Collingwood, J. Ruffhead, 2 votes. Collingwood, C. Main, 3 votes. Port Adelaide versus Sydney. Port Adelaide, T. Boak, 1 vote. Port Adelaide, O. Wides, 2 votes. Port Adelaide, S. Lysette, 3 votes. Essendon versus Melbourne. Melbourne, C. Oliver, 1 vote. Melbourne, M. Gawn, 2 votes. Melbourne, B. Fritsch, 3 votes. GWS versus Hawthorne. GWS, S. Mumford, 1 vote. Hawthorne, T. Mitchell, 2 votes. GWS, S. Canelio, 3 votes. West Coast versus Western Bulldogs. Western Bulldogs, F. Marlin, 1 vote. Western Bulldogs, T. Liberatore, 2 votes. Western Bulldogs, C. Marlin, 3 votes. Carlton versus Adelaide. Adelaide, R. O'Brien, 1 vote. 3 votes. Round 16. Gold Coast versus Richmond. Richmond, S. Bolton, 1 vote. Gold Coast, A. Sexton, 2 votes. Richmond, B. Ellis, 3 votes. Geelong versus Essendon. Geelong, S. Radagalia, 1 vote. Geelong, D. Bennett, 2 votes. Geelong, P. Dangerfield, 3 votes. Melbourne versus GWS. GWS, L. Whitfield, 1 vote. GWS, J. Kelly, 2 votes. Melbourne, M. Gawn, 3 votes. Adelaide versus Brisbane Lions. Brisbane, D. Zorko, 1 vote. Adelaide, L. Pedler, 2 votes. Brisbane, J. Lions, 3 votes. Hawthorne versus Port Adelaide. Hawthorne, J. Warple, 1 vote. Port Adelaide, O. Wides, 2 votes. Port Adelaide, S. Lysette, 3 votes. Fremantle versus Carlton. Fremantle, S. Darcy, 1 vote. Fremantle, R. Lobb, 2 votes. Carlton, P. Dow, 3 votes. Sydney versus West Coast. Sydney, L. Parker, 1 vote. Sydney, C. Warner, 2 votes. Sydney, S. Wicks, 3 votes. Collingwood versus St Kilda. St Kilda, G. Patrikos, 1 vote. St Kilda, R. Marshall, 2 votes. St Kilda, J. Higgins, 3 votes. Western Bulldogs versus North Melbourne. Western Bulldogs, S. Martin, 1 vote. Western Bulldogs, L. Hunter, 2 votes. Western Bulldogs, J. McRae, 3 votes. Round 17. Port Adelaide versus Melbourne. Melbourne, L. Jackson, 1 vote. Port Adelaide, O. Wines, 2 votes. Melbourne, C. Oliver, 3 votes. Essendon versus Adelaide. Adelaide, R. Laird, 1 vote. Essendon, D. Parish, 2 votes. Essendon, J. Stringer, 3 votes. Hawthorne versus Fremantle. Fremantle, Amber Walters, 1 vote. Fremantle and Fife, 2 votes. Hawthorne, J. Sicily, 3 votes. Carlton versus Geelong. Geelong, G. Myers, 1 vote. Carlton, S. Walsh, 2 votes. Carlton, P. Cripps, 3 votes. Brisbane versus St Kilda. Brisbane, D. Zorko, 1 vote. Brisbane, H. McCluggage, 2 votes. St Kilda, J. Steele, 3 votes. GWS versus Gold Coast. GWS, C. Ward, 1 vote. GWS, H. Himmelberg, 2 votes. Gold Coast, A. Sexton, 3 votes. Western Bulldogs versus Sydney. Sydney, O. Florett, 1 vote. Sydney, I. Heaney, 2 votes. Western Bulldogs, J. McRae, 3 votes. Richmond versus Collingwood. Collingwood, S. Sidebottom, 1 vote. Collingwood, K. Hockley, 2 votes. Collingwood, B. Grundy, 3 votes. West Coast versus North Melbourne. North Melbourne, A. Bonner, 1 vote. North Melbourne, T. Goldstein, 2 votes. North Melbourne, B. Cunnington, 3 votes. Round 18. Fremantle versus Geelong. Fremantle, M. Walters, 1 vote. Geelong, M. Duncan, 2 votes. Geelong, L. Dalhouse, 3 votes. Richmond versus Brisbane Lions. Brisbane, L. McCarthy, 1 vote. Richmond, J. Graham, 2 votes. Brisbane, T. Fullerton, 3 votes. St Kilda versus Port Adelaide. Port Adelaide, O. Wines, 1 vote. Port Adelaide, M. Georgiadis, 2 votes. St Kilda, T. Membry, 3 votes. Gold Coast versus Western Bulldogs. Bulldogs, A. Trelaw, 1 vote. Bulldogs, J. Ugle-Hagan, 2 votes. Bulldogs, A. Norton, 3 votes. Melbourne versus Hawthorne. Melbourne, J. Melksham, 1 vote. Melbourne, B. Fritsch, 2 votes. Melbourne, C. Oliver, 3 votes. North Melbourne versus Essendon. Essendon, P. Wright, 1 vote. Essendon, A. McDonald, Tipungwuti, 2 votes. North Melbourne, K. Turner, 3 votes. Collingwood versus Carlton. Collingwood, C. Main, 1 vote. Carlton, T. DeConning, 2 votes. Collingwood, J. Dacos, 3 votes. Adelaide versus West Coast. West Coast, D. Sheed, 1 vote. Adelaide, L. Brown, 2 votes. Adelaide, M. Greenwood, 3 votes. GWS versus Sydney. GWS, S. Reid, 1 vote. Sydney, D. Stevens, 2 votes. GWS, J. Hogan, 3 votes. Round 19. Port Adelaide versus Collingwood. Port Adelaide, T. Boak, 1 vote. Port Adelaide, P. Laddams, 2 votes. Port Adelaide, C. Rosie, 3 votes. Carlton versus North Melbourne. Carlton E. Betts, 1 vote. North Melbourne S. Attlee, 2 votes. Carlton S. Walsh, 3 votes. Gold Coast versus Melbourne. Melbourne A. Brayshaw, 1 vote. Melbourne C. Petrarca, 2 votes. Melbourne C. Oliver, 3 votes. West Coast versus St Kilda. West Coast L. Ryan, 1 vote. West Coast S. Hurd, 2 votes. West Coast N. Natanui, 3 votes. Western Bulldogs versus Adelaide. Bulldogs C. Marlon, 1 vote. Bulldogs L. Vandermeer, 2 votes. Adelaide M. Greenwood, 3 votes. Hawthorne versus Brisbane. Hawthorne J. Kazicki, 1 vote. Hawthorne J. Callow, 2 votes. Hawthorne C. Wingard, 3 votes. Sydney versus Fremantle. Sydney L. Franklin, 1 vote. Sydney J. Kennedy, 2 votes. Sydney L. Parker, 3 votes. Geelong versus Richmond. Geelong P. Dangerfield, 1 vote. Geelong T. Hawkins, 2 votes. Geelong D. Bennett, 3 votes. Essendon versus GWS Giants. GWS B. Daniels, 1 vote. GWS T. Broad, 2 votes. Waiting for the next. Waiting. Essendon Jade Ridley, 3 votes. Round 20. St Kilda versus Carlton. Carlton M. Pittonet, 1 vote. Carlton S. Walsh, 2 votes. Carlton P. Cripps, 3 votes. North Melbourne versus Geelong. Geelong C. Guthrie, 1 vote. Geelong. Brisbane versus Gold Coast. Brisbane H. McCluggage, 1 vote. Brisbane J. Lions, 2 votes. Brisbane L. Neal, 3 votes. Collingwood versus West Coast. Collingwood W. Hoskin Elliott, 1 vote. Collingwood S. Sidebottom, 2 votes. Collingwood B. Grundy, 3 votes. Melbourne versus Bulldogs. Melbourne A. Brayshaw, 1 vote. Bulldogs C. Marlon, 2 votes. Bulldogs A. Treloar, 3 votes. Adelaide versus Hawthorne. Adelaide H. Schoenberg, 1 vote. Adelaide L. Brown, 2 votes. Adelaide M. Greenwood, 3 votes. This is getting close. Essendon versus Sydney. Sydney B. Campbell, 1 vote. Sydney T. Hickey, 2 votes. Sydney T. Papley, 3 votes. Fremantle versus Richmond. Richmond K. Lambert, 1 vote. Richmond S. Bolton, 2 votes. Richmond J. Russ, 3 votes. GWS versus Port Adelaide. GWS T. Green, 1 vote. Port Adelaide M. Georgiadis, 2 votes. Port Adelaide O. Wines, 3 votes. Round 21. Geelong versus GWS. Geelong D. Bennett, 1 vote. Geelong O. Brownless, 2 votes. Geelong L. Dalhouse, 3 votes. Carlton versus Gold Coast. Gold Coast Z. Smith, 1 vote. Gold Coast M. Rowell, 2 votes. Carlton S. Walsh, 3 votes. Richmond versus North Melbourne. Richmond N. Cumberland, 1 vote. North Melbourne T. Goldstein, 2 votes. Richmond H. Ralph Smith, 3 votes. Sydney versus St Kilda. Sydney G. Hewitt, 1 vote. Sydney J. Rowbottom, 2 votes. St Kilda D. Kent, 3 votes. Adelaide versus Port Adelaide. Port Adelaide O. Wines, 1 vote. Adelaide L. Brown, 2 votes. Adelaide A. Scott, 3 votes. Hawthorne versus Collingwood. Hawthorne J. Gutston, 1 vote. Hawthorne H. Morrison, 2 votes. Collingwood J. DeGoey, 3 votes. Western Bulldogs versus Essendon. Bulldogs J. Bruce, 1 vote. Bulldog Essendon M. Redmond, 2 votes. Bulldogs J. McRae, 3 votes. Brisbane versus Fremantle. Fremantle B. Cox, 1 vote. Brisbane C. Cameron, 2 votes. Brisbane H. McCluggage, 3 votes. West Coast versus Melbourne. West Coast J. Brandon, 1 vote. West Coast J. Petrocelli, 2 votes. Melbourne K. Pickett, 3 votes. Round 22, GWS versus Richmond. GWS H. Himmelberg, 1 vote. GWS J. Kelly, 2 votes. GWS T. Green, 3 votes. Hawthorne versus Western Bulldogs. Hawthorne J. Kazicki, 1 vote. Hawthorne T. Mitchell, 2 votes. Hawthorne H. Morrison, 3 votes. Port Adelaide versus Carlton. Port Adelaide S. Lysette, 1 vote. Port Adelaide O. Wides, 2 votes. Port Adelaide C. Rosie, 3 votes. Geelong versus St Kilda. Geelong D. Bennett, 1 vote. St Kilda R. Marshall, 2 votes. Geelong B. Parfitt, 3 votes. Collingwood versus Brisbane. Brisbane and Cockatoo, 1 vote. Brisbane L. Neal, 2 votes. Brisbane C. Cameron, 3 votes. North Melbourne versus Sydney. Sydney T. Hickey, 1 vote. North Melbourne J. Stevenson, 2 votes. North Melbourne J. Anderson, 3 votes. Melbourne versus Adelaide. Melbourne M. Gordon, 1 vote. Adelaide M. Greenwood, 2 votes. Adelaide L. Brown, 3 votes. Gold Coast versus Essendon. Gold Coast M. Rao, 1 vote. Essendon S. Draper, 2 votes. Gold Coast J. Townsend, 3 votes. Fremantle versus West Coast Eagles. Fremantle S. Darcy, 1 vote. Fremantle D. Mundy, 2 votes. Fremantle and Fife, 3 votes. Now for the final round. Round 23. Western Bulldogs versus Port Adelaide. Bulldogs J. McRae, 1 vote. Bulldogs F. Marlin, 2 votes. Western Bulldogs L. Cook, 3 votes. Richmond versus Hawthorne. Richmond D. Grimes, 1 vote. Richmond S. Bolton, 2 votes. Hawthorne T. Mitchell, 3 votes. Sydney versus Gold Coast Suns. Sydney T. Hickey, 1 vote. Sydney O. Florent, 2 votes. Sydney T. Papley, 3 votes. Brisbane versus West Coast. Brisbane C. Cameron, 1 vote. Brisbane H. McCluggage, 2 votes. Brisbane D. Zorko, 3 votes. Geelong versus Melbourne. Geelong M. Blitzard, 1 vote. Geelong M. Duncan, 2 votes. Geelong D. Bennett, 3 votes. This is getting quite interesting. Carlton versus GWS Giants. GWS T. Green, 1 vote. Carlton W. Setterfield, 2 votes. Carlton P. Cripps, 3 votes. St Kilda versus Fremantle. Fremantle B. Cox, 1 vote. Fremantle M. Tabiner, 2 votes. Fremantle M. Switkowski, 3 votes. S. Switkowski, 3 votes, I meant. Essendon versus Collingwood. Essendon M. Redmond, 1 vote. Essendon D. Heppel, 2 votes. Essendon P. Wright, 3 votes. Adelaide versus North Melbourne. Adelaide M. Greenwood, 1 vote. Adelaide J. Palmer, 2 votes. Adelaide L. Brown, 3 votes. And there we go. We got a tie. in the Brownlow Medal between Lachlan Brown of the Adelaide Football Club and Dre Bennett of the Geelong Football Club. Both on 32 votes. Here is the club leaderboard. The top three have both polled 32, were both from the Crows, and they both polled 32 and 31 votes. Man, the Brisbane Lions have got 4 players polling at least 10 votes. Going through the club by club leaderboard. The winner, one of the winners, is from Geelong and polled 52 votes. Thanks.
Yeah, it's up to you. We can do it tonight, or you can do it by yourself tomorrow. But we have to shift the car back, and we have to move those bloody 2 things underneath the carport so they don't get wet.
Which 2 things under the carport?
Those shelf things and that black thing, like what your mum used to have the microwave and all that on.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. It's a surprise for Richmond now. Club leader is Shea Bolton with 11 votes. Western Bulldogs have got 3 midfielders polling between over 10 votes. Josh Kennedy, he's only polled 9 votes. He hasn't polled a vote since round 11. It's been a horrendous season for the Eagles. And that will just about do it for the Brownlow Medal.